Hello and good morning. Welcome to this Awareness Through Movement class, Home Moves, session number 4, streaming live on Facebook this Thursday morning. Okay, I need to level with you. This recording is actually a recording and it is not live. This is actually from the night before. But there's a reason for that, and the reason is functional, and it's to do with your better learning experience. So what I've decided to do is make these recordings in advance, and then what I can do is monitor the feed whilst it's streaming live to Facebook. So what that means in effect is if you have questions in real time whilst the class is running, even if I'm still talking here, I will actually in real life, like now, your time, be monitoring the Facebook feed, and I'll be able to answer any questions or address any comments. So I think that is going to be more effective for both of us. So that's that, leveling with you. I'm joined once again today by Rachel. Give us a wave, Rachel. She's with us in 2 different orientations or 2 different views. Her orientation is actually the same. She's not vertical and sideways at the same time. She's just lying on the floor, but we have a longitudinal view of her and we have a lateral view of her. So each of those might provide some good sensory input over the course of the lesson. Now, I need to just address the legalities. So this is the legal side of things. So this Home Moves class is intended for educational purposes only. It is not to be interpreted as a recommendation for a medical treatment or course of action. Your participation in this activity, in any activity in fact, brings a level of risk. So if at any time during this activity you feel faint or dizzy or any form of physical discomfort, then you should stop immediately. And if you have any health concerns that might impact on your participation, you must consult a medical practitioner, a healthcare provider, for advice about participating. That's just common sense. So all of that amounts to your participation in my Home Moves class is at your own risk. So how do we mitigate the risks? That brings us into what the approach is for awareness through movement generally. Go slowly. Use effort as a guide to modify your output as a way to return to ease. We're always looking for ease in awareness through movement. Efficiency and ultimately ease leads to efficiency and comfort, and ultimately an aesthetic sense of grace. That's the long term. That's the end game. That's what we're looking for here. Rest whenever you need to. Rest is really important. I will provide rests, but anytime that you feel like you need a rest, just give yourself a rest. It's like a system reset. It's like giving your central nervous system a moment to reboot and load up again and go for the next iteration of what we're doing. Breathe. Maintain a sense of your breath. If you find your breath being held or stuttering or in any way sort of compromised while you're doing these classes, it's just an indicator of the effort has crept back into what you're doing. And it's a really great signifier. So please listen to that. Unfortunately, I can't see you. Ordinarily, when I'm teaching classes, I'll be watching people and noticing those sorts of things. So you really need to notice yourself and watch yourself and listen to your own process, listen to your own body. What else have we got here? You can see I'm reading things. Feel free to make mistakes. So as long as you're in a sense of comfort and you're not like pushing yourself too hard. Be curious, make mistakes. The more mistakes you make, the more area you're covering, the more territory you're covering, to give yourself options that you may not have thought about before, that may really help you, assist you in your learning journey. Wear comfortable clothes, quickly go and change, put your pajamas back on. Best not to do these classes on a full stomach. It's not going to hurt you once or twice, but if you were to continue doing it, it's not ideal, so please don't. And let's play with the space between stimulus and response. That's what these lessons are all about, and we'll expand that over the course of the lesson. So, that said, what are we doing today? Well, the skeleton is a clue. Here he is. He's he's my companion. He's my sidekick, and today he's bending sideways to give us a sense of that this lesson is all about finding length through the side and finding a way to yield through the other side, and we'll do both sides. So he's going to stay here and just remind you, not that you'll be looking at the screen, hopefully, but he'll be our mascot for the day. Okay, enough said. Let's go into what we're doing today. Now, if you're lying on your back, which is where we ordinarily start, that's great, but could you please come up into a standing position? And just stand, find a comfortable place to put your feet. Find a place that you can be upright in this vertical iteration of yourself, upright in the field of gravity, with everything stacked up over a comfortable and stable base of support, which is what your feet are offering you right now. And then could you put your right hand against the outside of your right thigh with your arm straight and long, and slide that hand further down the outside of your right leg, and bend yourself to the side to do so, and just really ensure that you're bending to the side. You're not bending forward and you're not bending backwards. You're just going sideways, and just explore that a little bit. And it's almost like if you can activate the sense of your fingertips, let your fingertips dictate the exploration here. Let them seek and search down the contours of your right leg and explore how far down they can go. Just do it a few times. Notice what you do with your breathing as you do it. Just really getting a sense of what bends when you do this. Where do you bend? What parts of you bend? And what parts of you feel like they don't bend? Let your head tip over as well, so your neck is bending, your rib cage is bending, your spine is bending, your legs are staying straight. Okay, and pause. Could you now put your left hand against the outside of your left thigh and go into the same exploration with your left hand? So slide your left hand down and back up, and just continue that exploration on the left hand side. And so you've got something to compare this to straight away. So just go into that little mental differentiation, this little distinction. Is this side different to the other side? Is this side easier? Do you go further on this side or not so far? If you need to, go on the right hand side again and compare. Let's compare and contrast. Does it feel the same or does it feel different? And once you have a sense of that, once you have a sense of where you go on both sides and what feels like bends and what doesn't, and what's similar and what's different, come back down and lie on your back. So here you are on your back. So just feel into what this is like for you this morning. What does your spread feel? What feels wide? What's your widest part? And what's your longest part? What's the longest section of you feel like? Let me be more specific. If you were to think about your right side, so from your armpit, from your right armpit, flowing down the outside of your rib cage, down the right hand side, and past your right hip, and traveling down the outside of your right thigh, past your right knee, and down your right outer calf to your right ankle. Could you compare that length with the same on your left side? So from your left armpit down the outside of your left rib cage, traversing past your left hip, along the length of your left thigh, past your left knee and outside your left calf, down to your left ankle. Just lying here, having that sense of yourself. Is your sense that one of those sides is in any way longer than the other? Could you interlace your fingers and put those interlaced hands behind your head? And just get comfortable in that position first. Can you have your elbows just relaxedly lying on the ground? Some people can, some people can't. So don't worry if it's not comfortable for you to have your elbows lying on the floor. You can let them just be wherever is comfortable. So your fingers are interlaced, hands are behind your head. And could you bend both knees to stand your feet? So your feet are standing a comfortable distance apart. So what's comfortable? So just explore that a little bit. So you can place them hip width and quite close to your pelvis. Now try putting them so that your feet are together. Let's see if that feels any more comfortable. And generally not, because if your knees and your feet are together in this position, it means that your the inside muscles of your legs are actually having to work to keep your feet there. And then you can try putting them far apart. See whether that's any more comfortable. And then come back to around hip width. You want them to be able to stand without having to employ undue effort in your legs. Now send your attention back to this apparatus, these two triangles that you've got sticking out the sides of your shoulders and under your head, the triangles that are formed by your bent arms. And think of that whole structure as one big apparatus. And could you take your right elbow further to the right. And so to do that, the whole lot, your whole arm section is having to shift to the right. And then bring it back. And so you're not just shifting to the right, that right elbow is veering down towards your right hip. So you're doing a side bend lying on your back. And you're dragging this whole lot, including your head and your neck, over to the right. And then coming back up. And just go back and forth that way. And you're trying to find a way for this to be smooth and relatively frictionless. Like how to do this, keeping your elbows against the floor, but not stuck. And just feel where you bend. And feel, is this easy or hard? Rest when you need to. And pause in the middle. Could you straighten your left leg and keep your right leg bent and standing? And once again, bend yourself to the side so as to bring that right elbow down towards your right hip. And just feel how it is with one leg long and one leg bent. And as you do this, can you think of liberating that right hip and your pelvis, so if you want to, that right hip can lift. So as you come down, the right hip, not the left one, the right hip can come up, can roll to the left a little bit. Your pelvis can roll to the left a little bit. And so your upper torso is staying flat, but the bottom half of you can kind of accommodate that by shifting, by rolling to the left, by the right hip lifting off the ground. Okay, that's great. So come back to the middle, let the right leg long, put your hands by your sides and just have a rest on your back. Just from doing that small movement, just feel into whether anything feels different about your right side compared to your left side. Okay, can you take your right arm, and I want you to do a strange thing with it. I want you to kind of frame your head with your right arm in such a way as to leave your right elbow on the floor, but bring your arm over the top of your head, over the crown of your head, so as to kind of frame your head in your arm, and so your right hand ends up wrapped around the other side of your head, so it comes around the left side of your face. And can you kind of make your head snugly fit in that bent right elbow, in the inside of your right arm in the bend? And once you've got, so you kind of, and so your right hand is wrapped around your head, so it's somewhere near your left ear, on your left cheek, on the left side of your face. So once you've got your arm snugly wrapped around the top of your head like that, and make sure it's over the top of your head, so it's not coming over the front part of your face, it's coming directly over the crown So with that apparatus, can you now, once again, shift your right elbow, including your head, further to the right and down? So you're doing the same side bending thing, but you've got this constraint now. So just feel what happens in your upper torso and your rib cage. Just do it several times. Just feel how you do it now. Okay, next time you're back in the middle, pause. Can you bend your right leg again to stand your right foot? And then once again, continue the bending to the right. And again, allow your right hip to lift and come off the ground. And think of this, it's almost like a timing thing. And it's, if you were to enable more of yourself to participate, to find greater ease with this bending movement, when would that right hip want to lift? And is there a timing about it? Go gently, looking for ease. Your face continues looking at the ceiling the whole time. Pelvis is rolling, but not your upper torso. Shoulders are flat. Okay, that's great. So let yourself lie long and have a rest on your back again. And again, just feel what you can feel. Notice any change between how your right side's feeling and how your left side's feeling. What is that? What's changed? So for most people, this kind of idea of bending to the side, it's fairly unfamiliar. We understand something about bending forwards. We even understand a little bit about bending backwards. But sideways isn't something which is commonly engaged with. So we're just exploring that today. Seeing whether we can unpack it somewhat. Okay, so can you cradle your right arm over your head again in that same way? So arms wrapping around your head, your elbow as much as is possible for you is just lying comfortably on the floor, and your right hand is attached somewhere around your left ear. And could you now take your left hand and place it so it can push against the outside of your right hand. So you've kind of got this strange push me, pull you situation. So if you bend yourself to the right again, you can think of your right hand kind of pulling your head around to the right at the same time as your left hand and arm is pushing your head around to the right. So just do that several times. So again, back and forth. And once again, you're looking for how can you be gentle with yourself as you're doing this pulling, pushing thing to bring your head across, but also to bring your whole upper part of your body across to the right, sliding across, shifting to the right and down. And once again, bend your right knee, stand your right foot, and also allow yourself to push through that right foot as you do it, to lift your right hip. buttons wrong today. Pushing the wrong buttons. Okay, let yourself lie long and have another rest. And again, just feel for differences. Feel for differences on your left side and your right side. So we're also playing with orientation a bit today. Like, even though you can do really similar movements, but if your body is in different orientations with regard to the field of gravity, it can result in it feeling like an entirely different movement to your body. So we're playing with that and mixing up that idea a bit. So with that in mind, can you roll onto your left side? Bend your knees, stack your knees on top of one another, so just so you're stable in side lying. And can you stretch your left arm so it's directly up in relation to yourself on the floor, and so your head can lie comfortably on that arm. It doesn't have to be directly up, just so it's kind of up in relation to you in a place where your the left side of your face can be supported by the arm. And can you take your right arm and once again drape it over the top of your head and take hold of your left ear or somewhere near your left ear. And so you're in that same position, more or less. And just be nice and sure that you really are lying on your side. So you're not rolled forward and you're not rolled back. And that arm is coming over the crown of your head. It's almost like it's bisecting the forward half and the back half of your head. And using that arm, but also using whatever muscles that you can employ to bend yourself to the side and up, can you lift your head and see if you can find a horizontal gaze on the horizon line? Go slowly, go gently. Don't want to hurt yourself and don't want to overdo it. So just find a way and feel how the right side of you is getting small and the left side of you is expanding and stretching. And just note whether you can find a horizontal gaze at the wall in front of you or whatever is in front of you, to see whether is it true that you can get your eyes horizontal or not. And if it's not, then don't force yourself to do it. It's just a frame of reference here. And pause in this position with your arm draped over your head. And can you lengthen your right leg? So your leg is long and straight and basically in line with your spine. So it's just this long straight line running down the length of your body that's extended by your leg. And you're definitely on the right side of your pelvis there. And could you, keeping the leg long and straight, could you lift it towards the ceiling just a couple of feet? Just 2 or 3 feet. And then lower it again. And do that slowly and feel what happens to the left side, that length of the underneath of the left side of yourself. Feel what happens to that side of yourself against the floor in this lifting of your leg. Feel what happens to the tilt of your pelvis, to the left side of your waistline that you can feel against the floor. And pause. Keep the leg long. Now, in unison, at the same time, could you lift your head and that arm apparatus at the same time as lifting your leg? Just feel whether that assists you in any way to lift your head any higher. Is it any easier to find the horizon line with your eyes? And next time both are up, keep your head up and lower your leg. Relax your leg. And then lower your head. And see now you can bend your leg again. Bend your leg, let it stack on top of your left leg. And having had this felt sense of what shifts in terms of this slight capacity of your pelvis to be involved, could you employ that and once again lift your head and just find the horizon line with your eyes? Just notice whether it's any easier to go higher now. And lower your head and pause and roll onto your back and have a rest. And once again, just contrast these two sides of yourself, these two lengths of yourself, the right side and the left side. And slowly and gently, could you roll your head to the left and roll your head to the right? And just feel, is it any easier to roll your head to the right than it is to the left? You don't need to go all the way to the extreme. Just feel, just in this comfortable way, this one side feel more comfortable to roll towards. And just rest. And could you roll onto your stomach? Roll onto your stomach, put your legs comfortably apart, and put your left hand on the floor near your head. And put your right hand palm up so your forehead can rest on it. And let your hand contour to the shape of your forehead. So in this strange position, could you once again explore sliding this whole sort of upper section of yourself around to the right and down? So your right elbow once again is searching to the right and down towards your right hip. Just feel how it is on your front. Yeah, back and forth that way. And just be sure as you do this that your face is oriented towards the floor, so your head doesn't turn. Face keeps looking towards the floor. So then pause in the middle. And could you take your right leg and put it further to the right? So just lying on the floor, further to the right, and then take your left leg and put it further to the right as well. So you're a bit kind of bent out of shape now. And once again, can you slide yourself to the right? Slide your right elbow to the right. Let's feel, does this ask anything in your chest to bend any differently now that you're already in more of a bent position? And pause. You slide your right leg even more to the right and try again. Bending the upper part of yourself to the right. And pause. Put yourself back in that symmetrical position. Have a look at where you are on the floor. Have a look at where you are on the floor and see whether you're and again, just bend yourself around to the right. Take that right elbow closer around to the right and closer to your right hip. Let's do it a few more times. Make it simple, make it efficient, make it smooth, make it light. And then pause and have a rest on your back. And breathe into your chest. Feel the expansion of your rib cage, this beautiful expansion of your rib cage as you breathe. And zero in, bring your attention there in terms of this sensation of the movement of your chest, and just feel, does it feel like there is greater capacity on the right side of your chest than the left side? And then just breathe, just do nothing in particular, but just have a sense of yourself. This gentle, pervasive, encompassing sense of yourself. And then could you bring yourself into a sitting position and just sit in a way where you can be relatively symmetrical. So cross-legged is good if that is possible for you. And if it's not, you can have your legs straight out in front of you. Any way you like. Probably not a side sitting position because it's not particularly symmetrical. And could you sling your right arm over the top of your head again. And once again, just be sure that that forearm really is coming over the crown of your head. And so your fingers are searching for your left ear. And just find a way to be comfortable here. And could you bend yourself to the right to take that right elbow down towards your right hip again. Let your legs stabilize you, let your pelvis stabilize you, and then come back up. And just feel how it is in this position. Feel what bends here. Let's do it a few times. Then pause. Take your left hand and place it against your right, the outside of your right hand, so you're in that. And try that. Try it with both arms folding to the right. Let's feel this opening up of your left side. And pause. Now the next time, go as far as you can, comfortably go to the right, and then sweep yourself around to the front, bend around to the front, and then come back up to sitting. Put your arms down and just sit. Just sit and just feel the orientation of your head here. Just feel how your neck feels. And just sit and feel. Feel the alignment of yourself. Whether you do feel in a vertical alignment or whether there's any sense of leaning one way or the other. And lie down on your back and have a rest. I should say here as well, and I should have said this at the beginning of the lesson, that the purpose of having Rachel on the floor is to she gives you a sense of orientation and configuration. So it's not to be using Rachel as a perfect exemplar of what these lessons should look like, because of course it's different for everyone. But what she can offer you is, if you ever get lost or zone out or vague out or get confused about what position we're looking for, you know that you can look to the screen and see Rachel, because if she's not in the right position, I will have corrected her. So that's why it's helpful to have this vision. So sense your ears, sense your ear holes. And just briefly put your forefinger in each ear, just to give yourself a sense of just where they are, and take them out. And now roll your head in such a way as to feel that your right ear is descending closer to the floor. And then roll your head to the left and feel that that left ear is descending closer to the floor. So have a sense of this kind of elastic up and down movement of the height of your ears in relation to the floor through the direction of the turning of your head. And then just rest. Could you come up to standing again? Place your right hand against the outside of your right thigh. And once again, just explore this, and I should say, put your feet comfortably apart, about the same position that you found yourself in the beginning of the lesson. And do that same search, this tactile search of your fingertips against the outside of your right leg. And let it search down and just feel where you can comfortably move to now, and just feel the parts of you that feel like they are participant in that movement. And pause. And now do the same with your left. So let your left fingertips go on that same journey and just feel how that feels. What's the difference? Does it feel like there is a difference? Or through broadening this kinesthetic intelligence of your left side, does it feel like there's automatically a shift in the left side? Did I just say left side? In the right side, that there's automatically a shift in the left side, that these things transfer. Bodily intelligence is able to be brought forward and across. And have a lie down on your back again. Take your left arm and cradle it over the top of your head, so that your left hand takes hold of your right ear or somewhere close to it. And can you make it so your head can snugly burrow into that crook of your left arm? So it's snugly fitting in there. And with your head snugly wrapped up in that left arm, can you take that left elbow on this searching journey out to the right and down towards your left hip? And just feel how it is to do that on your left side. And then go back to center. And then go on another trip down to the left side. Just feel what's able to bend here. Where are you bending? And pause. Could you bend your left leg so as to stand your left foot? And now go on this sliding, bending trip of the upper part of your body. So your left elbow is sliding down to the left. And as you do it, find the place where it'll assist you. It'll assist your whole self for that left hip to be raised somewhat. And there's a point in time where if you're feeling yourself as a unified composite of action, then there's a moment where it makes sense for that left hip to start lifting.
I don't know what it is.
Rachel's saying she doesn't know what it is. And yet, she looks like she's doing it pretty nicely. So it's just this thing of, okay, even though the top half of yourself is flattened against the floor, to really, like, for this side bending to happen, it also kind of makes sense for the pelvis to be liberated, and the pelvis can be lifting and twisting to enable the side bending to happen, because nothing happens just in one plane. So whilst the bending is happening in that lateral kind of way, there's also parts of you that want to twist. So you're just allowing that to happen. And pause. Could you now take your right arm and no, don't put it against your head. Well remembered though. Just reach above your head with your right arm. So your right arm is lying on the ground, but it's directly up above you. Now just think there was a $5 note a foot above where your fingers end. And you now want to do this searching, bending motion with your left elbow, but at the same time think of your extending your right arm further above you, further above yourself along the floor. So you're really stretching out the right side of yourself at the same time as really bending the left side of yourself. And that arm gives you that sense. So just explore that a few times. And of course, at the same time, the third part is lifting that left hip. Really can think of pushing through your left foot so as to lift that left hip. And so it's complex. All of a sudden it's complex. There's a lot of things going on here. So now the question becomes, how can you insert a sense of gentle efficacy here? It's a strange way to put it, isn't it? Harmony of parts. Everything's assisting everything else. So that's what your central nervous system will look for. That's the kind of sorting, ordering process that when you find that, that's what ease looks like. When everything begins to assist everything else. And have a rest on your back. And so just feel into those, the left half of yourself and the right half of yourself, and just feel through doing that. There's Do you have a growing or nascent sense of the left side of yourself marrying up to the right now? It's the left side entering into the picture. So can you take that left arm and cradle your head again? Right. Which one are we doing? Left arm. Left arm, cradle your head so as to be taking hold of your right ear. Bend your left knee so as to stand your left foot. And now can you place your right hand against the outside of your left hand? And so you're doing this funny push me, pull you thing again. As much as you can, just let the right elbow just fall somewhere close to the floor. So you're still getting this kind of elbow framing picture of yourself. So your right elbow's out to the right and your left elbow's out to the left. You're framing your head in your left arm and you're pulling your head across to the left and you're pushing your head across to the left at the same time. And do that with care for yourself so you don't put yourself in a position like skeleton here, who's really chronically bent. But you're doing so with the sense of harmony of all your parts. And of course, at the same time, let your left hip lift. Let's go back and forth that way. Okay, that's great. That's nice. So pause, and can you roll onto your right side? Lie on your right side, have your knees bent, stacked up on top of one another, your right arm lying long above your head, and your head lying on the upper right arm. And then can you do this wrapping, cradling configuration with your left arm. So, and just be really sure that that forearm is coming over the crown of your head, and you're taking hold of your right ear with your left hand, and bend yourself up to the left. And see whether it's possible to find a horizontal view of the horizon line. Just go gently and see whether already in this position, what you learnt about the tilting of your pelvis on the other side, has it assisted you to go to find the horizon on this left side? Can you get your gaze horizontal? And pause. Can you lengthen your left leg? So your left leg is long and straight, directly down in relation to yourself. So you've got a line through your spine, extending down through your left leg. And now just lift your left leg a few times towards the ceiling. Lift your left foot. It's a tongue twister. Lift your left foot towards the ceiling. And now at the same time, lift your left elbow and head up. And just see whether it's any easier to get horizontal with your gaze when you add the lifting of your leg. Feel what's happening with your waist on the right side. And next time both your leg and your head are up, pause, lower your leg, And now lower your head. Bend your leg, put your leg back on top of the other one, and using what you've just learnt, lift yourself again and see if it's any easier to find a level footing with your eyes. And lower yourself down and have a rest on your back. Slowly, gently roll your head a little left and right. And pause, just rest. And roll onto your stomach. Roll onto your stomach, put your feet comfortable distance apart, put your right hand on the floor near your head and rest your forehead on the palm of your left hand. And you know what the exploration is here, so can you just slide this top part of yourself so your left elbow is sliding around to the left and down towards your left hip. Just feel how you do it on this side. Does your right hand want to come along at all? Where does it feel good to let your right hand wander as well if it wants to? Now toss your left leg out to further out to the left and try it again. And put your leg back to symmetrical. And do it a few more times, looking for ease. And roll onto your back. Interlace your fingers and put your hands behind your head. So this is where you were at the very beginning. Put your feet comfortably apart. And could you slide this whole apparatus of the top part of yourself so your right elbow searches around to the right and down, keeping your face pointed at the ceiling. And now let the whole lot come to the left. And go back and forth, left and right. Feel what your legs are doing as you do this. Does one leg get pulled up as you go, and one leg want to push down? So let them. Just feel that your pelvis and your legs are actually inextricably linked to this movement. And pause. Just rest long. Your arms long by your sides. Let your legs be long. Just rest. Feel your breathing. Could you bend your arms and place your hands in your armpits against the top ribs on your side? So your left hand is on your left side and your right hand's on your right side. And so you put your hands as high as they can get up into your armpit. And as you breathe, just feel what's moving there. Feel the gentle expansion of the upper ribs of your chest. Just allow yourself, push yourself a little bit left and right. Just feel what's happening in that lateral bending. If you're bending to the left and bending, sliding to the left, sliding to the right, just feel those upper ribs moving. Just have a sense of yourself. And let yourself lie long. So hopefully this leaves you feeling good about moving into your day with a sense of long lengthening, the capacity to lengthen laterally, side to side, in a way where you can find height and length, and also the capacity to shorten to the other side. And so I'll leave you with the image of skeleton and I doing the same thing, shortening and lengthening at the same time to bring breadth and ease into your day. So the real-time Simon will be with you to answer any questions or take any comments. And yesterday's Simon is signing off, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.